All right, welcome to today's episode of Is It Prophecy here on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva. And the show is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is free to do so, and you can also find me on JApp. JApp is a Jewish application which features lectures from big rabbis and historians, as well as episodes of this program. The website is www.j-app.me. And, of course, you can email me, messiahhour@gmail.com. The Jerusalem Marathon is upon us, Friday, March 13th. And on the line right now, we like to have her on every year to talk about what she's doing in the marathon and her group. This is Cheryl Mandel. Mrs. Mandel, how are you doing out there?
I'm fine, thank you. Last time we spoke, the country was full of snow, but today it's clear and sunny.
Yeah, it's clear and sunny. Yeah, it's very nice, and most of the snow is pretty much melted. There's little pockets, but it was nice while it lasted. I did enjoy it. I know you're from Canada, so you appreciate a little more than the Arizona boy like myself, but, you know, that's each to their own. But you're from Tzevet Daniel, and before we get to the marathon in itself, I want to talk about the project that Tzevet Daniel is doing in State Road, because there's a lot of problems, a lot of difficulties State Road. I know you're helping them out, so please tell our audience about it.
Okay. So first of all, can I mention that Tzevet Daniel is a group that participates in the Jerusalem Marathon and raises money, and it's on the name of our son Daniel, Daniel Yaakov Mandel, who was a lieutenant in the IDF in the Palsar Nachal, and he was killed while arresting terrorists on April the 15th. 2003. It's going to be 12 years. We're coming up to 12 years now. So when Daniel was killed, we made a choice, and we said that we were going to use our pain and our grief to take us forward and do good things in Daniel's memory rather than just be full of pain and grief. And since then, that's what we've been doing. We've undertaken projects in Daniel's memory. And what I say and what I feel is that if now, almost 12 years after Daniel's death, he's responsible for good things happening in the world, he's putting a positive energy still into the world, then that gives a little bit of comfort to us as parents. Now, the project that we have adopted for the past 3 years, this is a project that was actually founded by my husband, Dr. David Mandel. David is a practicing psychiatrist in Israel, and 1 day a week he works at the Sderot Mental Health Clinic, which is part of Barzilai Hospital. And he is seeing just the incredible emotional, mental, physical toll on the residents of the south of the Sderot area by the constant barrage of missiles that they've been under for the past, is it 10 years? When do we leave Gush Katif? Yeah, right. It's almost 10 years.
Yeah, summer 2005. It's when we left. That's when it happened.
Right. So it's almost 10 years, and just the toll on the adults, on the children, on everybody it's unbelievable and it's unbearable, and doesn't suit everybody to sit with a psychologist or a psychiatrist and talk about the stress they're under, and it doesn't suit everybody to take pills to deal with the stress that they're under. And so David has developed this project, which is an unbelievable success, of people getting alternative healing treatments. And basically these are various types of massage, whether it's shiatsu or whether it's reflexology or whether it's Swedish massage. You know, I actually don't even know all the types that they're doing down there. But that what they found is that for some people, the non-verbal treatment just makes a world of difference. The waiting list is really, really long. The project is called Aseh Ratzono. It is totally funded by donations. most of them which we raise, and our donations pay for the therapist, and the person who is getting a massage pays a nominal fee that goes to the building that is giving them the space to use for this project. It's been an amazing success, just unbelievable. The letters and the feedback and everything, how this has changed people's lives and how this has helped them. It's really been an honor and totally moving to be associated with this project.
It's truly an amazing mitzvah and something very special in Daniel's name. And I want to know if you talk a bit about the people Sderot, because I think people who live in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, the other cities, they might be confused, not just the fact they're facing rocket fire all the time, but they might say, well, why don't they just simply leave? Why don't they get out of there? So if you could tell us a little bit about why they're somewhat stuck in that situation.
Okay, so again, I'm not sure I'm the best one to give an answer to this, but I'll tell you that why didn't they leave Germany in the 30s? Do you know, like you're in a situation, the situation is getting worse and it's getting worse and it's getting worse. But this is where you have your family, and this is where you have your job, and this is where you have the familiar. And even though it's getting worse and it's getting worse and it's getting worse, a lot of people, so first of all, a lot of people don't have any place to go to. All their family, their extended family is there. Second of all, a lot of people say, we're not going to run away. Why would we run away? This is our home. And we're not leaving. It gives a victory to the terrorists in Gaza who are throwing these missiles, who are sending these missiles, if people run away. So there's a lot of strong loyalty to being in Sderot, along with the terror. So there's a lot of bravery. There's a lot of people who feel that they're without options. And I guess it's the whole mix,
Now, I believe the comment before is that approximately 90% of the people that live in Sderot have post-traumatic stress disorder?
Wow. I don't know. I've never heard that. But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, what I hear from my husband, from David, who, as I say, is a psychiatrist there, is that if there's a siren, people just totally freak. They just start shaking. They just totally lose control. They're so traumatized. I don't know if research has been done. I suspect that there are kids that are 9 years old that have never lived in a real, have never lived in a calm environment. They're just always listening for the siren, ready to run into the safe room. A lot of places don't have safe rooms, although from what David tells me, it's a lot better than before. That the government, the city, has built a lot of safe rooms for people to run to. But people go and they stand at the bottom of the staircase, they lie down under the table, they lie down, wherever they can find shelter. I wonder if it's 90%. I wonder. I don't think that you could be there for more than a few weeks and not be traumatized.
So, but as sad as that is, with everyone being traumatized, you're saying there are improvements and some things have gotten better, though, right?
So, again, I'm not sure that I should be the one speaking about this. I know from what my husband has said that at the beginning, 9.5 years ago, there almost weren't any bomb shelters. Now, the city is very fortified. The playgrounds are fortified. The bus stops are fortified. There's, they have these big pipes that people run into, that, concrete pipes. It sounds like there's there's definitely more options. Whether you call that improvement, I guess I don't know, you call that it's a reality. It's certainly ugly, these bomb shelters all over the place. It's a reality that the people are living with day in and day out.
Again, this is a Prophecy here on Israel National Radio, Ruth Sheba. The show is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is free to do so. Our guest is Mrs. Cheryl Mandel from Tzevet Daniel. Let's talk about the Jerusalem Marathon, and tell us a bit about how long that you have, as we say, ran in the marathon. I know you like to be humble, say you don't really run, but you're out there every year. So tell us about that tradition, where that came from.
Okay, so we, as I said, we've been trying for the past 11 years to do positive things in our society here in Israel in Daniel's memory. So about 4 or 5 years ago, we were working on building a park in Alon Shvut, and we needed more funding. And I was out walking with a friend, and another one of our friends comes running by. And I said, "Hey, Ruthie, what do you think? Do you think that we could participate in the Jerusalem Marathon by walking?" And she says, "Yeah, I think that's a great idea." And so together, the idea just snowballed. And what I believe that we are the first group, this was 2011, we were just about the first group that participated in the marathon without being runners, without being fit people, without ever having had any type of marathon experience before. And we did it not for ourselves, we did it for a cause. And since then, the next year, suddenly there were all these groups. A lot of them were friends of mine, people that I knew that knew what we had done and that we had been very successful at fundraising. And so now the Jerusalem Marathon is considered, first of all, one of the most beautiful marathon routes in the world. You go through the old city. It's magnificent. And second of all, one of the most difficult marathon routes in the world. You're going through the old city. You're running up and you're running down, and you're on these cobblestone roads. It's not the easiest going. I wouldn't want to be a runner. And third of all, this is the marathon that is known as people are doing it not for themselves. People are doing it for a purpose, to raise money for a cause that they believe in. And it's totally, totally inspiring. First of all, you see all of the Jewish people, all of Am Yisrael, and of course a lot of runners from outside of Israel who are, marathon runners. But you see everybody, it's a festival, it's a circus. Everybody is there and they're running their shirts for this organization, for that organization. And everybody is friends with everybody and smiling and happy and walking along, or some people are jogging along. A lot of people are running. Most of the people are running. But what I say is that I don't think I'm the oldest marathon participant, but I'm probably the slowest. And what we say, how we encourage people, is we say it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you go. Cheryl and David Mandel are behind you.
Well said, but you still, you could, again, you're being humble, but you complete every year. You start out and complete it, and that's a lot to be said. And you were talking about this before, that you're very happy that people go out to the marathon because it's a sign that they're concerned about their health and taking care of themselves, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right. I think there is a greater general awareness of the importance of staying fit, of exercising. And so if you're participating in the marathon, you're doing something good for yourself. And if you're doing it for a cause, you're doing something even better. After the first year, we had completed the park. And I said to my husband, David, I said, well, we built the park. What do you think? And he said, if you're doing good, you don't stop doing good. You keep doing it. So every year I look at him and I say, David, he says, Cheryl, you're doing good. You don't stop doing good. I have to say, it's a lot of work. Like as the sort of organizer of it, it's a lot of work. And I call in favors from my girlfriends. They help me with the air pasta, and they help me with the T-shirt design, and they help me in a million ways. But as David says, if you're doing good, you don't stop doing good. So I'm humbled to be in this position, to have the privilege of doing good, to have the privilege of honoring our gorgeous young soldier, Daniel, Val, and to helping an incredibly important program in Sderot to help the people just a little bit take away from the difficulty of their life, just a little bit. Give them comfort, just a little bit. Give them a big hug. So everybody who makes a donation to Tzevet Daniel, to the project Aseh Ratzono, they're giving a big hug to the people of Sderot. And we all know, with all the research coming out lately, that hugs are really beneficial. So there's, if you can't go down to Sderot and start hugging people, you can make a donation, and that would also be great.
And at the end of the interview, we'll tell everyone how they can make a donation or get involved. I want to know a little more details as far as the group running in the marathon, Tzevet Daniel. There's a pasta thing before the marathon, is that correct?
Correct. So the I guess you call it the philosophy of running marathons. What you do before running a marathon is you load up on carbohydrates. So that what has developed over the years is a tradition called Erev Pasta. This is the night before the marathon, and the dishes that are served are carbohydrates and more carbohydrates and more carbohydrates. Now, we're sort of faking it because we don't need the carbohydrates, probably just the opposite. The carbohydrates are just going to fatten us up. But for somebody who is running in the marathon, they need them. So we have this Erev Pasta, and it's a time when Tzevet Daniel, they show the participants, they show up, they get their kit for me. I've given them their kit. I've picked up their kit for them, and I give them a Tzevet Daniel T-shirt. They have a nice meal. Often we have a speaker, whether one year we had general from the army who was Daniel's officer. One year we had people from Aseh Ratzono, people who are working in the clinic in Sderot, and they're talking. And I guess I have to think what we're going to have this year. It's already the end of next week, the week after. And they'll hand in their donations. This is a time when we collect donations, give them their T-shirts, give them their kits. And the kid has a parking ticket for the next morning, and yalla, off we go.
Now, people, if they're out there and they want to run but they're a little nervous, they could do a smaller run. They could do the 10K.
They can do the 5K.
They can do 5K even. So that's not an excuse. If people have legs and it works, they should get out there and do something, right?
Walk it. Who needs to run? Do you know? There's at a certain point, they stop timing. But, like I said, I'm not a fast walker, and I've always finished before they stop timing. So it's a beautiful day. It's a stroll. Bring along your beloved partner. Bring along a friend, and prepare your Shabbat beforehand and have a great time.
Okay, if people want to get involved, whether it's run or let's say they're outside of Israel, they won't be in Jerusalem for the marathon, they want to make a donation or want to get involved in any way, what is the best way they can go about doing that?
Okay. So they can, if they're in the States, they can get a tax-recognized form, and that is if they make their check payable to P like pretty, E like easy, F like French, PEF fund. And if they send it here to Israel to me, and I'll make sure that it'll get to the PEF fund, and they'll get their tax receipt. So in Israel, they can make a donation online or send in a check, and that's the check would be written, also tax recognized, to Reut Sderot, REUT Sderot, SDEROT, and they can also, that also can be sent to me. They can send it Cheryl Mandel, and that's Post Office Box 92, Alon Shvut, Gush Etzion, 90433. Now, if that's too much information, they can also send me an email. And the email address is Tzevet Daniel, TZEVET @gmail.com. You know, Ari, what do you think? Are people listening to you?
I think so, but there's a way we can find out, right?
Right. So if you're listening to Ari, send me an email. Let's see if you're listening. Send me an email, and you can write me and you can say, I heard the program. I'd like to make a donation. Send me the link to the site. I heard the program. I'd like to make a donation. What was the address again? Whatever. Or they can just say, hi, Cheryl. We just want to know that you're listening to Ari.
There you go. I like the sound of that. Again,
Yeah,
this is a Prophecy here on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva. The show is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is free to do so. Any questions, comments, concerns, or any topics you'd like me to discuss in the future, anyone you'd like me to interview in the future, email me, messiahhour@gmail.com. My guest this afternoon has been Mrs. Cheryl Mandel from Tzevet Daniel. Mrs. Mandel, thanks for being on the program today. We really appreciate it.
Ari, thank you, and I'm pleased. Will this be the third year in a row that you'll be wearing a Tzevet Daniel T-shirt?
It'll be the third year, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited. We're getting some walking practice in, walking to Teddy Stadium from my place in Katamon, so I've been prepared pretty good. I'll be ready to go.
Eza Yofi. Okay, delighted. Thank you very much. And everybody come to the Jerusalem Marathon.
Yes, indeed. And Mrs. Mandel, I'll see you March 13th, and looking forward to it.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, be well.